Who were you traveling with in your original, your first WWE run?
Good question. My first time on the road, I believe I traveled obviously with Nathan because we were going to be a tag team.
Right.
And me and Nathan, even though we were in OVW together for a minute there, I knew nothing about him except that he had been arrested and he's the Colossus of Boga Road. That's all I knew about him. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he was very quiet in OVW. In fact, you couldn't even get him to practice. He'd just sit there in the front row and watch the rest of his practice while he just sit there. So like, I didn't know anything about him, just the stories. And Danny Davis was like, look, if this is going to be your tag partner, you need to try to be as responsible for him as you can. Even though you're less experienced, you're smart, Matt. And if you're smart, you'll want to learn everything you can about him so you can learn to trust one another. You know, you got to treat it like it's just you two against the world when you first get up there. You know, in so many words, right? So I traveled with Nathan my first time around up there. Other guys would jump in and out through the time, you know, through that year. Charlie Haas, Shelton, well, some others here and there, but predominantly me and Nathan. You know, so I always knew where he was. Nathan was a wild card. You know, you didn't know what you were always going to get with him. So I wanted to, you know, not necessarily have him under my thumb. You can't. No one could put Nathan Jones under their thumb, no matter how big you are. But seriously, I wanted to at least know where he was at all times because, again, he's my partner and I got to have his back.
As you mentioned, you guys were supposed to become, you know, basically like a full-time tag team, but
Yeah,
you ended up quitting.
yeah.
Did you, in the time you traveled with him, did you like sense the frustration or any kind of?
Definitely, both, but it wasn't, I wouldn't call it frustration on Nathan's part. I would call it more, you know, look, when you get up there, there's guys our size, no one's going to physically rib you.
Right.
It's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Too big. But they'll mentally rib you and screw with you and things like that. I've been an athlete my whole life.
Yeah.
You know, the only difference was when I was a freshman coming into, you know, at Monmouth playing behind a guy who was the senior in the same position, I could beat the dog shit out of him in the locker room. Where we had this fight, got it out of our system after my first month there on campus, right? And he ended up being my best friend, ironically, in college. But with wrestling, I was under the impression, that you do something like that, you get fired. It's a business. You know, it's not necessarily the basketball locker room or the football locker room where, you know, things are supposed to be able to stay to the boys, but sometimes they always didn't, you know, and the office gets involved, you can lose a job over something like that. So with Nathan, you could see him building and seething, you know, if any of the guys ever screwed with him mentally, you know, they didn't even screw with him, like make a joke here and there, I didn't think it was a big deal. They do it to me too. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing that I didn't go through playing ball. You know, it's like rites of passage. These are guys this is their weird way of getting to know you. It's like it's a camaraderie builder, and it is really what it is. I never took it as, oh my God, these guys hate me, poor me, their life sucks. Dude, we're in WWE, we're on the road, this is great. So I got to put up with a couple of veterans that might rib you or do a couple of things. So what? This is nothing. This compared to what I did in school, got dealt with in school. Hell, I'll never forget this. In Monmouth, these dudes, it took the whole team to do this because I was the last freshman to got for initiations where they tie your butt down naked, all right, out in the football, right in the football field, okay, right on the goalpost, butt naked, right before the women's lacrosse team would come to practice. Now, you want to talk about a rib? That's pretty hard to beat as far as embarrassment is concerned, right? Yeah. But again, because I had that athletic background and Nathan Jones didn't, I don't think he was prepared for that type of stuff. This was a guy who's been in solitary confinement in his defense. So now he's learning he has to be sociable, and he has to learn to sit back and just take it on the chin a couple times. Right. It's not a big deal. Like, they're not physically screwing with you. They do. That's a whole different ballgame, and then you beat somebody's ass and call it a day. But that's not what was happening. And so, like, frustration, you're asking me, can you sense the frustration in Nathan? Not to that level where I saw him quitting, but I could definitely see him seething a little more and more, as time would go on after each TV, if any of the guys would make a joke about him or his arrest or whatever. I just remember telling him, like, Nathan, that's no big deal. Like, they're just joking with you. It doesn't mean they hate you. They're just playing, man. It's not a big deal. Don't take it so serious. That's the worst we got to deal with to get what we're getting. Dude, take it and smile. That's an easy day.
Yeah. So when he finally did quit, was it a surprise to you, or could you tell?
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, I remember early on, I remember I did an interview where I could have sworn I said I could see it coming. No, I couldn't. I did not see him leaving
Right.
a great spot.
Right. Golden opportunity.
We were going to be tagged, supposedly going on the, in WrestleMania 20 as a tag team together.
Mhm.
That's a big card to be part of, you
Yeah.
know, whether it's true or not. And I was just told that, who knows? But that's what I was pretty sure we were told we were going to be doing. You know, and then once we had enough experience, go our own ways. But that sucked, you know, for me, obviously, because we were in a pretty golden situation from my perspective. You know, we're learning from the best. We're constantly working against guys with more experience than us, than Benoit and Angle, night in and night out. How can't you get better? And I was starting to get a lot better because of that. Nathan was too. And so when we were in Australia, I did not see him. We were going over our match, and he didn't get dressed. So yes, maybe I should have been included into that, obviously. He didn't get dressed, but I didn't think of it as a big deal. Maybe he's just being lazy and put his stuff on before we go up. Some guys do that. But I'm doing push-ups or warming up something, and I see him walk by with his bags and give me a handshake and say, "Goodbye, mate. It was great. It was great teaming with you or working with you. You're gonna do fine. You don't need me," something like that. And then had like a tear in his eye, like started to like get teary-eyed, and walked and just kept walking out the door. I was like, "Anyone else to see this shit?
Right.
What the Nathan, get your ass back!" And I chased him outside in the parking lot. "What are you doing?" I'm freezing. I was freezing. I was in my gear, halfway butt naked, you know, in the middle of the parking lot talking to Nathan Jones, like trying to talk him back into it. Go, "Please stay. You can't do this, Nathan. You got to just give it more time." You know, he's like, he didn't like to travel is what he kept saying, but I don't know. That's what he said, so I can just take him at his word if that's why he left. But
Do you know it was
at the end of the day with wrestling, you have to have your heart 100% into it.
Oh, yeah.
It is a crappier day better than it's a good day in wrestling. It just is. And if you're a guy that doesn't want to be away from home, you're not going to you're not going to want to keep doing this.
Did you? Well, first of all, when he shook your hand and said, basically, "I'm out of here,"
Yeah.
were you the only one he told, or had he already gone to the office and said, "I'm not doing this"?
I had seen Brock talking to him way more than he normally would.
Okay.
And from what I had heard, he must have told one of them earlier that he was not going to wrestle that night, or he was going to leave, one of the two. And I didn't think much of it. I just thought he was talking to him, maybe getting advice, something like that from Brock. I didn't know what they were talking about. It turns out later that Brock was trying to, and Kurt were trying to talk him into staying, you know. And so I guess, you know, I'm the one. He passes by on the way out the door and finally says it to me. I was like, "Ooh, what the fuck?" Yeah.
You know, you traveled with him. You know, the time you had been up there, and you know, I guess you probably spent as much time around him as anybody else did. Did you know, was he having any like personal problems or anything? I mean,
Nathan Jones. You really think Nathan Jones is gonna? This guy was in solitary confinement.
Right.
You really think Nathan Jones is gonna go? "So, mate, I'm having some issues with the old lady at home. Any advice?"
Right.
That ain't Nathan. No way.
Yeah.
This is a guy that rips people's heads off and shits down their neck in real life.
yeah.
You ain't getting that conversation out of him. So no.
But what about like maybe like maybe like a drug problem or something, painkillers, anything like that?
I was way too young and inexperienced to even know
So you
that
wouldn't
stuff
know
yet.
that
I myself hadn't even gotten hooked on that stuff myself, so I
Right.
wouldn't be able to
We'll talk about
identify
that a little
another.
later.
Yeah.